So now go. So I've got this goose egg on top of my head because I hit my head.
Oh, what?
I was walking upstairs, that little tiny door frame going into the room with the green carpet up there, you know? I smacked my head on it really hard, and now I've got this goose egg on the top of my head. It's the worst.
I whacked both my ankles during track practice today.
Yeah.
So, like, I was doing my javelin stuff, and in one of my crossovers, I like just straight up heel clicked my ankle with my spikes.
That's so bad.
Oh yeah, I mean it's not that bad. It's just like a little mark. It wasn't bad.
Yeah.
And then I was walking back I was bringing the hammer back, our hammer, from the ring to the school, and we were going down a hill, and I was pulling it behind me, and I lifted it up like an idiot, and it swung and just got me in the back of this. Well, not the ankle, but got me in the heel. And I was like,
you have to rotate that microphone towards you.
Have you ever sprained your ankles?
No, like the microphone itself. So other way. Like spin it. You gotta squeeze.
I forgot how we. Oh,
there you go. Squeeze that and then spin it towards you. There you go. Perfect.
Danny,
Awesome.
did you do anything else?
All right. No, we're good. So the logo was like right here, but now it's gone now.
Yeah, Kostiantyn, now that you want to keep track of it.
That's right.
Like a dingleberry.
Okay, so you are listening to a BroCast on the Gird Up Podcast. Our sponsor for this episode, of course, is Brigadier General Beard Oils and Supplements. Coach, do you want some?
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
What do you got here?
A real man has to have a beard.
Here you go. So Deep in the Woods makes you smell like you've been deep in the woods. I love it so much.
Oh,
so,
girl,
I haven't put in
you know what? Girls like the
so.
smell of the outdoors.
You
do know
like
that?
The smell of the outdoors.
My girlfriend, she always tells me.
They don't like a man. They like a man who looks and smells like he's been outdoors, but isn't sticky like he's been outdoors.
Yeah, like my girlfriend, we went to a bonfire one time, and then after a bonfire, she kept telling me how good I smell, and I'm like, I smell like smoke, and she's like, yeah, you smell so good. And
Yeah,
I'm like,
so maybe got mad at you for smoking a cigar one time.
So since then, I've been looking for cologne with a smell of smoke. I still can't find it.
I heard about this.
So you gotta smoke a pipe instead, and then you'll get that sweet smell.
See, I don't know if either of you guys are Old Spice dudes, but I'm pretty sure they have
Old Spice all the way.
They have a woodsy, one of their scents is
Mine
woodsy.
is what is the scent? It's like Super Sport something.
Oh, Pure Sport?
Pure Sport.
Yeah.
And there's the little, like the aqua green one.
That's what I use all the time.
Because it's the only one that, like, I'm not,
it's
I don't,
like the
it's not
basic
like
one,
right? Yeah, it's not like I get super musty or anything. But like, especially in the summertime, like I sweat all day. So
obviously,
it's
with
easy.
the amount of hair you've got.
Like I don't necessarily smell bad, but my clothes will start to smell bad. So that seems to help with that. So yeah.
No,
but
it has like
beard oil.
It has a fresh scent.
It does have a this one has an awesome one too. Actually, so one of my biggest complaints about wearing a mask is that when I put product in my beard, then I just smell that all day, and I actually mind smelling this all day long because it smells so good. So I like it a lot. If you want some beard oil, if you don't know, it takes good care of your beard. Because when you wash your beard, all the oils and everything that are naturally in there come out, and it's not good for your skin. It's not good for your hair if you don't have those oils in there. So you got to make sure you keep all those oils in your beard and healthy. A great way to do that is beard oil. You can get this beard oil at sites.google.com/Brigadier General or find Brigadier General on Facebook. Shout out to Nate Hensler. He's going to be a dad soon.
Hey-o,
proud of you, bro.
Congrats.
All kinds of cool stuff happening in his life. Go support him. No, it's a different guy. So this is the guy that's in town today is Mike Westendorf, who we interviewed a while back. Yeah. So he might show up at the bonfire tonight. We'll see. Maybe.
How old is he?
Maybe. He's a staff minister. He's probably early
40.
50s.
Oh, early 50s.
Late 40s, early 50s. Because
I bet 40s.
Well, his oldest kids are in their 20s.
Well, my dad's 40. Not 40. He's like 40. Like
that's what I'm saying. Like late maybe. 40s, early 50s. Yeah.
Is he gonna smoke a pipe with you?
I don't know. We'll see if he comes.
What?
And if he doesn't show up, if you're watching this, Mike, and you didn't come, it's okay. We still love you.
Yeah.
But it'd be dope if you were here. That's all. That's all we're saying. All right. So we'll see. Well, so it's a staff ministry conference.
Man, he's older than my mom.
Okay.
I'm just saying. It's like I'm gonna hang out with a dude who's like older than my parents.
My mom's older
fair
than
enough.
My mom. Well, I'm not older than your mom, but
I don't know. I mean, depend.
My mom's 53. So
yeah, she's like the same age as my mom.
What?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Your mom's only like early 50s?
Dude, my mom is 39.
You're 10 years older. You're 8 years older than me, and your mom.
Yeah, she had her first baby when she was 21. Like she was married and having kids at 21. So I don't know.
Why don't you know exactly how?
And if I'm wrong, Mom, take it as a compliment because you You're just
that young.
ageless.
Oh no, you're just an
You're just so
irresponsible child.
All right. Anyway, today's topic is what it takes to be a winner, and I'm not actually convinced that I like that way to phrase it. But I think it's maybe the best, most concise way to phrase it, and it'll be good clickbait.
It's the broadest way. That
You know,
way
It is the broadest way.
we
yeah.
can narrow in.
We
on a
should
lot
talk
of stuff.
not just about what it takes to be a winner, but what it should not take to be a winner, because
Well,
that's also very
But I
important.
think the place we need to start
that's
is the idea that just because you win doesn't make you necessarily winning championships
maybe-
isn't necessarily the mark of a winner, and
Maybe
you
it's-
can be a winner and not win any championships.
Maybe it's more of a sportsmanship kind of thing, like what it takes to be a winner, and also like how to be a
I think in a true
good
sense
athlete,
of
maybe
no.
like a respectful
Good sport.
athlete.
But those qualities and characteristics are the things that also then make you good at business, good at ministry, good at
Right.
whatever.
Right.
And I think that's why maybe I don't like the phrase winning, because you can it's hard to think of being a winner when you're talking about like family, like being a husband. Like, it's the same traits and characteristics that are going to make you a good husband are the ones that made you a good teammate on the football field or made you a good wrestler or whatever it might be. But it's hard to think of that as like being a winner. But at the same time, there is definitely competition going on, whether we like to admit it or not. Like, and you can say like, well, we don't. Our marriage doesn't compete with anybody else's marriage. Like, and that's good and that's healthy and that's right. But the reality is, every single day, your wife is making a choice to wake up and stay with you, or your girlfriend, or whoever it is, right? And she could choose
Your
not
girlfriend
to.
should not wake up with you.
No,
Okay, fair
that's
enough.
not what he said.
But
He
she
said,
could, she could choose not to be with you anymore.
she could wake
like,
up one
to
morning
not
and decide,
literally be with you,
Oh,
but
okay.
like to break
like
up with
not
you.
with like she's not with you when she's waking up.
I got it. Sorry,
Right.
English is not my first language. I take everything literally. Okay, sorry.
That's
Yeah.
fair. That's
So
fair.
I guess let's just start defining it. What does it mean if championships don't necessarily make winners and winners don't necessarily always win championships? What does it mean to be a winner? Or
So
what is
I
a
just
winner?
keep coming back to like the whole idea of what's it take to be a good sport. Like having good sportsmanship. That's kind of what, in my mind, this topic is going towards. Like those ideal characteristics that when you win or lose, you're still humble, respectful, and kind to your competitors and to like the people around you.
Yeah,
like regardless of what
absolutely.
side they come from. Like that's kind of what I was thinking
Yeah.
when we started this topic.
Right.
But that can also be applied to other areas of life. Like I think growing up and learning how to be a good sport definitely is going to affect how you interact with people in the real world, in the ministry, whatever it ends up
How
being.
to be a good teammate, yeah. How
Yeah.
to be responsible for everyone else in the room. you
Because
know?
like maybe you're at, I don't know, well, there's a staff ministry conference happening. Like
Yeah.
what if they're like trying to brainstorm something and you're really into your side and you're kind of competing to get what you think should happen done and it doesn't happen, knowing how to react in those scenarios. Like it's almost this, not 100% the same because it's not physical and there's something to be said about the physicality of sports, right? But it's that same kind of like processing of taking the loss or taking the win.
Yeah.
Do
Do you mind taking 10 seconds just checking to make sure everything's good with the camera? Pause for station identification.
True winner.
We good?
What would be wrong?
Is it recording?
Yes.
And there aren't any warnings up or anything?
No. What kind of
Okay.
lines
I
are
don't
you up?
know.
You're just using the
Okay, so my pushback on what you're saying is that you can be, what were the three things you said? Humble, respectful, and
Kind.
You can be those three things and also be a loser.
Yeah.
So what is it then that like takes you to the next level? Like basic human beings, good people are that, right? But you can be a good person, you can be a nice guy and not be a winner.
Right. So
So
what part
what-
of what I
what-
said are you pushing back on?
Well, so that can't
Like, that's what
be everything. You know what I'm saying? There has to be more to it than that. So what is it that takes you maybe to the next level and actually be a winner?
If you are talking about winning like the competition or just being successful in your craft,
Well, so if you're gonna win,
Okay, so
Kinda
we're
where we
specifically
started.
saying like how do you win? Like we're not saying what's it. Okay, so we're going away from the whole. Okay, like what? How are we winning? That's
so
what we're going for.
like what you're talking about
Uh-huh.
is going to be included in that,
Right.
Okay, but it can't that's not it. There has to be more to that.
Like what do you mean? I guess.
So, well, I mean, so being a really nice guy and being respectful to your opponent, and all that kind of stuff. I don't really like the nice.
Well, that's like the
being
post.
kind.
That's like post
So,
competition.
You can be a really good sport and still just be a loser. Like, you don't have to be.
Not be very.
You can be terrible.
Like just be a bad person. Still?
No, just be.
No,
Like,
you
what
can be
do you
terrible
mean?
at what you're doing and still do all those things. It doesn't
Right.
make you a winner.
Okay, so then what's it take to be on that next? Well, then
Yeah.
it just where Kosti was about to go with it. It just
ahead.
takes
It's
the
like
skill and stuff, right?
No, takes
And the
patience.
practice and
takes
stuff.
Practice, patience.
Well, skill's a part of it.
Skill, talent, patience. A lot of patience, because like
Patience for what?
being successful at your craft or being good at your craft takes patience of a marathon runner. Like, it's on the way to your success or becoming a winner. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon. Like, going to the gym every single day, 6-7 times a week, being a good Christian person, being, it takes a lot of patience to wake up and every morning and read your Bible and just wake up with a good mindset, and have the right mindset, you know what I mean? Like, in order to be successful, be a winner, I feel like it takes a lot of patience, a lot of you have to keep pushing and keep doing what you're doing and keep making the right choices every single day, and that takes a lot of patience. It's very easy to not make the right choice than to make the right choice.
Yeah, it's a lot easier to make the wrong choice than the right choice a lot of times. Mm-hmm. What I hear you saying is discipline over time.
Yeah.
Like, you can't get good at something. You can't master something. Like, in a perfect world, nobody would ever be successful at something without mastery, right?
Well, what's the like? There's a scientific time for like.
10,000
it's not
hours?
exact. Yeah, isn't it like 10? Like
It's
to
like-
truly
yeah,
become
there's
a master or
motivational
something.
video at 10,000 hours that to
Yeah.
master your
I don't know if
craft.
that's
Well, like, I've
scientifically
never
proven,
seen that
but,
video,
like,
but
yeah.
like I've had many coaches in my life like say it's gonna take.
10,000 hours.
Well, no, not 10,000 hours, but in essence, it's just constant dedication to what you're doing,
Right.
no matter what,
Yeah.
and being able to show up every single day. Well, and I mean, like, within reason, of course, but it's like, it has to be more than just something that you're good at. It's got to be something that you truly love, that you live and breathe,
Yeah.
and I think you see, and there's a lot, like, there are certain people, there are certain people going to school here, pastors, that, like, they love this stuff. And they're actually showing up for more than just, like...
This is what I have to do get where I want to be. Yeah.
And, I mean, I think we should all hope and pray that we can be that dedicated.
Well, but I hear what you're saying. Like, there's a bunch of guys who
but there's,
love
like, people
the
who
Greek,
seriously...
right?
Yeah,
They
like,
just,
someone...
love it, yeah.
Someone that comes to mind when I talk about that is, like, Nathaniel Brower. That guy, the only thing he's ever dreamed of is becoming a pastor. Like, it's been his lifelong, like, that's his thing. Like, his thing is to be here and to go to school and become a pastor. Like, he might not be great at all the classes, but that's not the point. He loves what he's doing.
It's his Super Bowl, or whatever you want to
right,
put out
exactly.
there, yeah.
And we have kids like, oh, I'm going here just because my grandpa went here and my dad went here.
Or your friends go here.
Or your friends go here.
That's a big one,
Fair enough.
But yeah, and I think that's a more, because I was going to bring up the example of, like, you and I have both, well, all three of us, I'm pretty sure, have all been to some sort of martial arts studio or gym before, and we've seen those people, the kind of dedication that they put in.
Right.
It's insane.
Like the pros and the
yeah,
guys
like the
winning
pros and stuff. Like, they
There's
show
always
up.
in the team you see this one player who's like everyone there to have fun, but it is always one guy who can he's a freak about it. Like, he loves it, he does it,
Right.
you can tell. Like,
Right.
Well,
it
he
was always
turns
one-
other people into freaks too, like in a good way.
Yeah.
Like
his motivation.
his passion for it, his desire, whatever it might be, he's bringing other people up to his level, right? And I think that it's a huge part of it. And it's really hard to do anything like this alone too. Like, it's hard to have that discipline over time when you're doing it alone. Which is so. I was actually watching a video earlier. It was talking about, like, strength sports, and whether it's wrestling or strongman, powerlifting, Olympic lifting, golf, whatever it is. Like, it's all by golf is really a strength sport, but it's an individual sport.
Well,
So I mean, like tennis, you got all these sports that are individual sports. Let's go with that instead of strength sports.
individual-
But
okay,
most
individual
strength sports are individual sports. But they might be alone when they're competing, but that doesn't mean it's not a team sport.
right.
It is.
Like,
Everybody
in
on
order
the
to
team
compete at
sees
the
them.
highest level, there has to be a group of people supporting you and has your back.
And
People
iron
calling you if
sharpens
you're not
iron,
going to.
you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and I just want to say something real quick. Like, I think that's definitely what motivates, like, that can get us three. Okay, now I'm speaking 100% for myself, and I think from what I know of you guys, it includes you too. But us, like the three of us, we're all masters of none. if that makes sense.
Yeah,
we're
that's fair.
we're jacks of all trades. Like, we don't really have someone here on this podcast that can truly speak on how they're driven because they love something that much. You know, I mean,
well, not
but
in this phase of life.
you see what I mean,
say.
though,
I got,
right?
At
It's
different points in life, I've had
Oh,
those things.
Okay, like for example, when I was in high school and I did wrestling, I did wrestling since I was like 5-6 years old. So that was my thing. Like I went to nationals for wrestling. I went to international tournaments for wrestling, and I went to prep. I did judo. It wasn't like a high school wrestling. It was judo. But then when I went to prep, I had a lot of wrestling background, and I fell in love with high school wrestling. And when we started the club, I was already getting ready for the like actual team because I was already hoping that we're gonna have a team. And I've been putting in so many hours in the gym. And then when we found out that we actually gonna have a team, it's like my whole dedication was. It probably wasn't healthy. It got to the point where it was like a little unhealthy. I was taking it a little too serious for the person who wants to be a pastor one day. I was taking every single free time I had to go do my conditioning, to go do my lifting, to go do my running and all that kind of thing. So it's just like, and I bet he had things like this too. Just kind of, it's like went away because like.
Well, right. But that's what I'm saying is like, for us, we're able to move on to the next thing. Like there are athletes out there that they don't.
That's true.
You know what I mean? And I think a lot of times like runners, like cross-country runners, those are the kinds of people that I can think of.
And it eventually becomes like detrimental to their health even.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying that we can't put our hearts into things, but I'm just saying we've been able to throughout our lives like change the things that we love and want to be into.
That's fair. Well, and I think that's part of it is like in different phases of life, you're going to have to find different goals and different things, right?
Sure.
So I'm no longer chasing a great high school football career, you know?
Well, but
I'm not trying to get a football scholarship.
Right?
I'm not trying to, whatever. So like you have to move on to something else. And right now, I'm frankly not trying to be, the strongest I've ever been. I'm not trying to be, the best teacher I've ever been. I'm also not necessarily trying to be the best Greek student, but I probably should be, but I'm not. But I have other things that I'm chasing, and right now it's all round, healthy, well-adjusted, happy individual, right? And that seems like it's a cop-out, like to say that, but it also like entering a different phase of life. I'm completely leaving the lifestyle I was living, which wasn't that's not a negative thing. It was a healthy, happy lifestyle, but it was a teacher's lifestyle, and now I have to get back to being a student. And I'm going to be a student now for 6 years after this. Yeah. So I have to make an adjustment. So right now I'm just basically all in on making that adjustment, being a good student, and being healthy while I do that, and all kinds of stuff. And that's everything from keeping the house clean to keeping my body healthy,
having the morning routine and then night
that's
routine.
That's right.
In your life.
I literally have like my personal, I don't even know what to call it, personal manifesto, if you will, and then my morning and evening routines printed out and posted on my kitchen wall so that I build those habits. Like it sounds
smart.
silly,
that's so smart.
but I legitimately, I don't do it as often now. When I first put them up, like around the time so it was before Christmas, when I first put them up, like I legitimately would stand in the kitchen in the morning and in the evening, and I would read them out loud and like remind myself what I'm doing, where I'm going, and like what is involved in doing that. Right?
I see Noah Ungamok. Oh, sorry, Charlie Ungamok. Charlie Ungamok. Early in the morning. Jesus, help me to do those.
In my
things.
underwear, always.
In your underwear.
Always in my underwear.
Always in your underwear.
Standing in my underwear, reading it. Like, my name is Charles Edward Ungamok, and I'm a man after God's own heart. Just like reading it all the way through.
So funny.
I did a video on it. If you want to know what I'm talking about, go back like 6 months ago.
Is
I did
there
a video
of
on
you
it.
doing it?
Not in my underwear. No, I should make one. I really want to make one now.
Okay.
I really want to make one now. We're gonna make one.
Oh, let's go.
All right.
Right after this. Right after this.
Right after this? There's too many people coming over for that. Although if I'm gonna post it on the internet, it probably doesn't matter.
That'd be better
See,
quick.
million
Is
views
what that would be.
next.
I'm really glad I don't wear whitey tighties.
Hey, I used to, man. That was like elementary school.
I wear boxer briefs.
Now I do.
I like the support, but I don't like the whitey tidiness.
Up in the all up in the zone.
Yeah, I don't like it all up in the zone.
I don't
just
like
some
when my
support.
thighs touch each other, like skin on skin thigh touch.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking?
Agreed. Yeah, especially when you're a beefy guy. you know.
And you always walk
okay,
and you
well,
feel the little,
Feel chafing all
when
the
you wear
time.
swim shorts and you're wet.
It's the worst. It is the
so
worst.
bad.
I
hate
did buy
it.
a pair of swim shorts. I showed them to you, and you were like, "Why are they so big?" It's like that's exactly why they're so big. So that I have room in them. I haven't worn a pair of real swim trunks in years. I just wear board shorts and put on compression shorts underneath because the chafing is just the worst.
Oh.
We went to a water park once, and I
here in
legitimately
between,
bled before we went home from the water park.
Oh.
It was terrible. Just walking around, just chafing.
Ugh.
Yeah, sorry, Aunt Jane.
But-
This was not the intended topic of conversation.
Sorry.
But,
Okay, so how to be a winner.
But
Talk
anyway,
about how to be a winner.
But you see
That's
what
part
I'm
of it.
saying?
Don't wear bathing suits.
Right. Well, okay. Yeah, bingo.
It's hard to win when you're chafing.
know the
But
right
back
tools.
to,
You need
like-
to have the right tools to be a winner.
I'm trying to say something right
I'm
now.
sorry.
Okay, but he turned it into a positive, so
You did.
it
Good
fits
job.
now.
Hey.
Hey.
Look at that. Okay. Okay. So really, what I got from your whole spiel there is, it's like, I think that we've, in our own way, we've mastered a way to be able to adjust.
Yes.
Like, that's what we have truly mastered. Again, as far as I can tell from three of us. But again, there's still people out there that don't do that, and they just stick with something and they stick with it forever.
Right.
And sometimes they look crazy, and it is horrible, and it's bad that they do that, right? And you're like, you need to stop doing that. Stop climbing that hill. Like, just don't fight that battle anymore. Like, get real.
Yeah.
You know?
Pivot.
And like, people will tell them that, and that becomes like a point of where they're like, oh yeah, well, too bad, and it just pushes them even more.
Yeah.
You know?
And there are some success stories of that, but most of the time that's not the case. I think
Yeah.
I would push back a little bit though on that idea because there's a lot of talk these days about balance, and there's a lot of people that'll emphasize balance above all else, right? So like the idea that, and you certainly do have to have boundaries, and you don't want like all your relationships to go away and everything. Like you don't want to ruin your marriage because of a pursuit of a dream or something like that. You don't want that.
You run all day and
there
still
has
hang
to
out
be
with your
some
kid or
balance.
something.
Right.
But there's a lot of people that will put up balance as like the number one thing. Like if you don't have perfect balance and achieve balance in your life, then you're not, a functioning adult. And I disagree with that wholeheartedly. I think there are times in your life where you need to get completely out of balance in order to achieve the things you're pushing towards. I used to talk about this with marching band kids all the time. So like at the marching band season, we would pull kids from all over the state of Wisconsin. So the marching band season, they pretty much lived with us for 5 days of the week for the months, like the second half of May and then June and July, just because they couldn't keep going home and coming back all the time. Like if it was a regular high school band, they would have just gone home at night and come back the next day. So it's like double the commitment of a normal like high school experience for band, right? And I know I sound like a band nerd right now. I am a band nerd. That's okay. But we would talk about that all the time of like during these 2 months, like this frankly is going to be the thing that you're going to go home, you're going to work. And we would even coach them up before they went home. Like, hey, you're going to get home. You're going to be tired. You might be a little bit crabby, but understand your family is more important than this band is. And when you get home, you need to treat them with love and respect. You need to tell them about we would prepare them for going home so that they would be, and some of it was to cover our butts too. So it wouldn't be like every time my kid comes home, he's crabby and he yells at us and then he goes back to band. And he's just we'd prepare them for all that. But we'd also talk about the idea that if you really want to be great, you need to be a little bit unbalanced for this next 3 months or whatever it is. You need to be a little bit unhinged for this. You can't have a balanced life and then also be successful at what we're doing because it's just too hard. So, and we're talking about like winning. We're not talking about just going out and putting on your average homecoming field show.
It just feels
right?
like you're saying you have to be more balanced, honestly. Like,
no.
Like, what do you mean when you say unbalanced?
So, for example, you're in rehearsal for 5 days, and then you go home for 3 days, and you have to work those 3 days because if you're going to keep a job, you got to work at some point, right? So you got these high schoolers going home working those 3 days, and then while they're home, they're also practicing their instrument and memorizing music. They're also like getting extra sleep and not hanging out with their friends.
Right.
They're doing all these other things on top of it so that they can continue to be successful. And then I would even encourage them to go further than that. Like go on YouTube and watch videos of your favorite like drum corps and marching bands and things like that. And start obsessing over it. Like know the trivia, figure out what they do in there, like what makes them successful. I would take groups of kids and we would go watch other bands rehearse, and we would outside of our rehearsal time, and we would talk about how they rehearsed and take things out of that. We'd go to shows and we'd do all that kind of like, and it was nuts. But we'd only do it for 3 months, and then when August hit, it was back to real life, right? This is no longer your obsession, and now you have to move on. And like you can enjoy the memories. You don't have to stop watching YouTube videos of your favorite drum corps. You can still talk to your friends.
Right.
But now you have to move on from this, and then it'll be our obsession again next year. And the same thing's true with like varsity sports at the high school level, right?
Yeah.
Where you like you have to live and breathe basketball during the basketball season or wrestling season or whatever it is if you're really going to be like get to the most of your potential, right?
Yeah.
But I think we all know the kids from our high school who never got past that then. Like they're still living in the glory days of their junior year of high school when they were all conference.
Right.
And they haven't gotten past that.
That was very specific, Charlie. You talking about?
What's
going on?
In
here?
my experience, there's a lot of great athletes who have an awesome junior year and then are. So if you have a great junior year and have a great senior year, you're going to go play somewhere else in college, and then you're going to get over it.
That's a specific year in school and a specific.
Did you listen to what I just said? If you have a good junior year and you have a good senior year, you're going to play in college. You're going to have the opportunity to if you want to.
Yeah.
Question
if you have a good junior year and not a
junior year?
No, I was not. No, I was not, and I got the chance to play in college.
That's why I was getting that.
Frankly, I have more memories from my college years than my high school years as far as sports go. There's the formative memories from like freshman and sophomore year, and then varsity memories are just kind of meh. And then really it's the college football years that are like the ones that are really special to me. And part of it is that I wasn't particularly good in playing in high school. Like I was kind of a master of none. Yeah. It's just that one of those. I played both ways and all that, and didn't really get good at any of it. It wasn't until I got to college, and it even took me a couple of years in college to find the right position. But once I was in the right position, healthy, had the right body for it, because frankly, I mean that is part of the college game is finding the right body for it, right? So I was in shape, ready to play. Then I was successful, and it was a whole lot more fun, and that's really what I enjoyed then. To play with my friends and contribute to a team. I hadn't really contributed in games since high school, just because I hadn't found the right spot. And in high school, like I had so many things going on up here. Like it wasn't a physical issue. Like I was at times dominant physically, but like I just couldn't get my head right, and I feel like I wasted those years, frankly, because I couldn't get right in my head. Part of it was not understanding what's going on. I also just didn't have a killer instinct, where like you go for to finish. I wasn't a finisher, I guess maybe. I still often am. Like that's one of my biggest flaws even yet is being a finisher.
Okay, so coming back to what you said about like balancing and getting over things, something it's kind of like correlates together with what we learned from scripture. Like when we talk, something needs to be said. When we talk on the podcast about being a winner, something needs to be said about what the scripture says about it.
Right.
What the scripture says about your achievements. And one thing that I've noticed, on your way to achieve something, you have to really make sure it doesn't take your it's healthy, it's good to use the blessings that God gave you, like good health, ability to work out, ability to compete, ability to glorify God with what you do. But it is also comes to a point where you have to make sure you're keeping it balanced and healthy in terms of your relationship with God, in terms of your relationship with your family, with your friends. Because like in the end of the day, people want to be winners, not just in sports, but in life in general. People want to achieve. People want to succeed. My girlfriend tells me all the time, she says, when I finish college, I really want to do this, and I really want to be teacher at this school, and I really would love to start on our program at that school.
And you're like, too bad, you're coming with me.
No, and I'm like,
we're going to Ukraine, lady.
And all those things are great. And like when if she becomes an art teacher and she starts a program, I'm going to be super proud of her. And she's going to start a program, and she's going to be an amazing artist. She's going to be a winner in life, yes, because she achieved what she wanted it. But it's not always like this, because it's not about what you want, it's about what God wants for you. So you have to also understand that being a winner, it's not always about achieving what you want, but sometimes achieving what God wants from you. Like when I was a kid, I always wanted to I was going to church with my family when I was like 13, 14, but I wasn't much like a huge Christian guy. I hang out with not a good people. I hang out in the circles of the athletes who would do bad stuff outside of the club. And I was all into sports, and I was even thinking about going to a sports academy. And right now my life is,
Ukraine.
and now my life is totally different from the life that I had like 8-7 years ago. It's like a totally completely different life. Like I could never see myself sitting here and talking about Jesus. So, and it's part of like, I didn't fail.
Yeah.
I just talked in the microphone. Okay, sorry. I didn't fail. It's just like, it's not about what I want for myself. It's about what God wants for me. And people need to understand that. It's, what is it called? Doctrine of, I literally was just recently talking about it in class. Doctrine of,
election.
No.
Theology of the cross.
No. Doctrine of when
End
it comes
times.
to job. No, when it comes to
Vocation.
Doctrine of vocation.
Hey.
Let's go, Pastor
team.
Check. Let's go. Doctrine.
Just so
of-
you know, that word is not exclusive to the ministry.
Thanks.
Okay.
I'm just saying. Okay, but are we talking about like doctrine of vocation?
Right.
My girlfriend wants to do this and that, and I have a lot of things that I've planned out in my head that I would want to do. I would want to start the congregation there, and I would want to go there and travel the world. But the truth of the doctrine of vocation, we don't find joy in what we do or what we achieve. We find joy in the love of God and His purpose for us and what He has done for us. That's what it's all about. It's about making sure you're using the ability and you're using the blessing that God gives you and puts you in life, but in the same time, you don't forget that it's not.
Dang it!
God gives you.
Hey, shush. You gotta replace the batteries.
Wait, are we still recording?
You were preaching hardcore, though.
I know, sorry. Oh, actually, not sorry. It's actually good.
Yeah,
I'm doing that.
He's not sorry.
I'm so sorry that we lost you halfway through the rant. Sorry.
So, simply saying, we have to make sure that we have the right priorities and we understand that it's not about what we want or what we want to achieve. It's about what God prepares for us on the way to those achievements.
Right. Ooh, sorry. Yeah,
So much beer?
No, I'll just be burping.
Okay.
Kostiantyn,
So,
I'm
okay.
gonna smack you
So-
so hard.
All right, so you were talking about the idea of like the Lord had different plans for you than the ones that you thought, but you were talking about like going into academy, like a sports academy and things like that, like basically being fast track to be a pro athlete, essentially, right?
Yes,
or at least a
basically.
collegiate level athlete.
Yeah.
Well, but your sister kind of took the opposite
Oh,
approach,
she
right?
is. Yeah.
Still somebody who is in love with Jesus, I would assume, right?
Yeah, she is.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yes.
And somebody who is very passionate about what they're doing, probably obsessed if she's performing at the level she is, and probably, like, I would argue, following God's plan, but also following this passion that is outside of ministry.
But I still argue with my family sometimes.
What?
In a good way. Because sometimes she has a practice on Sunday, or something else is popping up, or she has like a tournament or practice. Okay, tournament is one thing, but like she has like practice or some other things going on, and our church services are only on Sunday. And I always tell my parents, please don't have practices for her on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Like, at least one day a week, make a priority for God.
Well, is she supplementing it someone? Does she go to like a Monday service or something?
We don't have Monday service. It's only one service a week, and it's Sunday.
Okay, well.
So that's like a big issue for me. They don't do it often. I love you, Mom.
Like,
I love you, my sister. I'm so proud of all of you. But like sometimes, it's like, sometimes I'm like, when she skips church, I'm like, yeah, you should be going to church that day. You know what I mean? Like, it's time for God. Like, I would never, like, if my coach told me go to practice during the church service, I would go to church service.
Right.
Well, I think showing that you care is what's more important out of that. Because then that reminds her, oh yeah, I need to find a way to get this in.
Yeah.
Because
And I do it out of love.
Because here's the thing, is it's like, there's not a day of rest. And you know what I mean? Like, we don't follow
and it's
that
not
system.
necessarily mandated.
And we don't have
It's
it's
not
not
mandated
mandated,
by
yeah,
what
yeah.
we believe. It's just, we like to have that.
It certainly is wise.
I mean, it is wise to, have a uniform day of rest. That way you can get fellowship in and everything like that.
That's why I said you
like
should.
The whole
I don't
Christian
say
experience.
I don't say she has to. I said
Right.
you should. I'm like advising her out of love that like you didn't sin by not going to church because
Right.
we don't have like we don't have amount of times that you have to go to church.
Right.
But I'm just saying, like it's good for you to have one day a week that you prioritize for God, at least.
Yeah. Oh, and that's not unique to your family necessarily either. Like that's a normal thing especially for elite kids. Like their families kind of revolve around that, for better or for worse, and it is something that tends to fall behind. I think, whether it's basketball, doing AAU, wrestling tournaments, whatever it might be, like those things do often conflict because those are just the times where stuff gets scheduled.
And see, it can be tough because then, so I guess this can turn into a super awesome industry combo. I'm just saying. That's the route that I'm about to go. It's like,
okay, go ahead.
If at someday my future church, I know it would probably be somehow exhaustive maybe for myself as the pastor, but at that point, not a pastor yet, just clarifying.
Close.
But what I'm trying to get at is it's like, as a pastor, I think we need to. It just feels like if you're doing that, if you're having it be that you only have your services on Monday, you're almost not forcing guilt, but it's like you're giving reason for people to have guilt when they don't really need to have any. Okay. Like they should, the guilt should come if they don't come to church at all. That's when they should have that stirring in their heart and their conscience is like, wait a minute, I haven't been to church. I need to get to church, right? But like what I'm getting at is I think I'm definitely going to have like a Monday night service or maybe a Wednesday night something or Wednesday day something available for my members, hopefully. Like in my mind, that like in the modern world, that seems to be something that would be beneficial, like especially because there's so many people that I remember growing up with that because Sunday was the only time church could happen and that's all stuck in their minds, they just don't go to church at all throughout the week because they're like, I missed it on Sunday, so out there, they don't have anything else. I can't show up.
Well, the other thing about that, just from a practical side of things, like nurses and OTR truckers and like shift workers like that, a lot of times the turnover is on Sunday, so you'll work through Sunday, and then you will have like Monday or Tuesday off, or even a couple of days off after that. Yeah. Or like nurses that'll work 7 days straight for 14 hours a day, and then have a week off. And so they just don't. They can't go during those times. Mm-hmm. I think that is useful.
Right.
Then it's not inherently wrong.
Right. Exactly. It's not wrong, but if we were to have if my church is set up that way, I understand and can see why that guilt can it turns into a whole. They're sinning against their conscience, right? And we don't want them doing that. Okay. We don't want people to. Either they have a hyperactive conscience or a nearly their conscience don't work at all. Either way, you got to find it's a sweet spot. Really is what it is. But something I want to say earlier, kind of back to this whole hardworking and winning stuff. To talk to your band point and just any point in general, it's like I don't know that it's necessarily a deorganizing or what was the word that we were saying?
Obsession?
No,
balance.
Balance. Yeah, it's not really. When I grew up, the way I always had life explained to me, if you got stuff thrown at you, is you got to be a juggler. You got to be like the circus clown that's juggling, and people are just going to keep throwing balls at you, and you just got to catch them and keep juggling without dropping any of them. I think it's a skill to learn how to be able to juggle all those situations.
Yeah.
Because that's just a more positive way of saying it, I feel like. By saying, you gotta get unbalanced, that's kind of a little weird in my mind.
Can I improve on your...
Sure, go ahead.
So, I would argue they're not throwing more balls at you, they're throwing other things at you to juggle, right?
Sure, yeah, so even better. They could be different shapes and sizes, yeah.
So you've got like a chainsaw coming around, you're going to be more paranoid about the chainsaw or the knife or whatever it is than you are about a rubber ball, right?
Yeah.
And so you've got some rubber ball things that you're just tossing around. Maybe that's my daily workout. I need to do it, I don't want to drop it.
And it's easy.
And it's easy, right? It's a low-hanging fruit. But then you also have, marriage problem or something. Like it's a razor sharp sword. Like
there you go.
you do not want to drop that,
Yeah,
and
you
don't
gotta
want it
catch
to
it on
hurt
the
you.
handle.
Like you're gonna put more time and effort into making sure that
Right,
one
exactly.
is getting taken care of, right?
Yeah.
Or like a glass or whatever image you have in your brain. Like you're gonna treat each one differently, but you're still juggling all those things.
Yeah.
That's not a bad analogy.
I like it. I really like it. That's a good.
And if you can't handle it, if you're a juggler and you can't handle the number of things you're juggling, what do you do?
Set it down
you
somehow
drop a few of them.
while still juggling everything else.
Right.
Yeah.
You can't just shut everything down.
Right.
You're not a juggler anymore then.
Yeah. Then
You're just a
you're
clown.
a quitter. Yeah. Then you're a clown.
I really like that
Full
analogy.
analogy.
That's
Yeah,
so good.
that's a great
so
analogy.
And that's what I grew up learning. Like my dad and my mom, that was always what it would be. If I was going to start something new or let something go, it was always, you're going to have to learn how to juggle with that. Or you're going to have to learn, well, that was it. It was just, you have to learn how to juggle that. You got to learn how to fit that in your schedule. You got to learn how to be successful at it, too.
And I think that's good parenting.
Yeah.
Because at some point, you're going to have to learn that skill.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can't even control the circumstance. You just have to deal with it, Like when we went online for learning. It sucks. Nobody liked it. Maybe we liked it for a couple of days, but after that,
I kind of did enjoy going to class in my pajamas.
Fair enough.
I did enjoy going to my
Fair
class
enough.
in my
But like the
pajamas.
learning isn't the same either, Like it stinks. But at some point, you just have to deal with it. You got to do what you got to do and keep going.
Yeah, and that's what my mom always talked to me about. Like when I was in school too, when I did sports and I didn't have time to do homework, she's like, "You gotta find time to do homework. You just got to. Like you have to.
Right.
Like she's like, then don't do sports if you can fit it in." And I was like, I can fit it in. I don't want to just
Well, and that's the thing that makes all these other things work.
Yeah, and then she was like, "Okay, then find time to do homework." And then
Yeah.
you kind of work it out, work around it, and you do find time.
Yep.
So
Yeah. And sometimes it's a hard pill to swallow because your life is going to change. Like
Absolutely.
things, you can't keep going the same way. If something's not fitting in, you can't just keep going the way that you're going. You're gonna get wrecked. Like you have to make a change, and change hurts. Change is not always easy. Sometimes change is easy. Most of the time, change is incredibly hard. Like things are difficult. So
yeah,
deciding
moved to
how
United
and when
States,
and
oh man,
I can only imagine.
that was a huge change for me. Oh my goodness.
For coming here?
For coming here, my sophomore year, I went through a major. Have you ever heard about culture shock?
Yeah.
I've went through a major, like massive, hardcore culture shock.
Kostiantyn, I'm going to have to listen to it when you guys post this.
Wait, why are you leaving? Wait, tell everyone the reason why you leave.
Before girlfriend.
What? Oh, you were...
Explain everyone why you're leaving. Tell everyone in the microphone, tell why you're leaving.
Alright, guys, so I got a girlfriend now.
Yay. Why are you leaving?
I'm leaving because she has to go to bed early because the girls have to leave for the track meet at 6 a.m.
And you
I
want to
don't
say
have to
goodnight
leave.
to your sweetheart.
Yeah, right. She's going to bed soon.
And
so I
what's
gotta
the
go.
reason? Why don't we have a full hour of audio before you had to leave?
Okay. Because apparently these dinguses decided to wait for me, which I love, and it
Because
makes
we
me
didn't
feel
want to go
good.
3 for 3 on Gus just randomly appearing in the middle
Right,
of the
but
video.
that's my thing now. If you do it 2 times, then you know it's just that's that
Alright,
guy's
so
thing.
from now on, we're just going to plan on Gus being 10 minutes late.
Yeah. You guys just start without me, and then I'll walk in, and I'll be able to jump in.
All right.
Okay, you know what? I'm not... Okay.
my goodness.
Okay, that's not a great way to do it. I understand
You
that.
need to find some balance, bro.
I'm gonna.
You need to find balance.
I'm gonna. And I will. So next week, I'll be here the whole time.
Is that a promise?
That is a promise. And
We
if
get
I'm
it,
not, I don't know what you guys
If
do.
you're
I'll
not,
shake.
if you're not here for the whole podcast next week, then the podcast after that, you have to do the whole thing with your shirt off.
Okay. That feels like a punishment for your viewers.
All right. Bye, bro.
I'll be back.
Bye,
after a while.
Gustav.
All right.
See you.
Bye.
Say hi to a woman for me.
Oh, I will.
Yeah.
So, speaking of culture shock and adjusting and balancing
Yeah.
things.
Tell me about it.
So, my sophomore year, I transferred to Luther Preparatory School, and I went through a major culture shock. When I was going to prep, I did not think it's going to be that difficult. I showed up, I didn't know language, I didn't have any friends. I don't even think I was eligible. I'm not even sure if I was eligible to do sports because I transferred during the year. I was late by 2 or 3 weeks.
Okay.
So I'm not even sure if I was able to do sports the first semester. So I didn't do any sports. I didn't do anything. And at that time, before I went to United States, I haven't really even worked out in the gym, so the
Really?
fitness center wasn't a big thing for me.
So when did you learn to lift the way that you do? Was that here?
A lot of YouTube.
A lot of YouTube. Okay.
Not just that. Okay, I did educated myself through reading books about strength training and watching a lot of YouTube, talking to coaches too. I visited a lot of fitness centers. Like back at home, I worked with a coach a little bit. I didn't pay him. He was just a really big, nice guy, kind of like you. He was close to 30 years old, and he was like went to nationals for powerlifting and stuff. And nice guy, and we've talked for a little bit, and he taught me a lot about the technique and everything else. Also, once you start working out in the fitness center, you kind of find friends who lift a lot.
Yep. Yeah, you do.
And they do know a lot of stuff. Like my friend, Luke Mueller, the dude is just massive, crazy lifter, went to powerlifting tournament, was like that close qualifying for nationals. I think he matched the Wisconsin record for bench press in his weight class.
Really?
Yeah, so... And he was my roommate, we lived together, so you find people like that. But I had a major culture shock my sophomore year. Like, homework didn't go well. GPA first semester was 1.7. And you will be surprised, I could not balance out even school. Like, I didn't work first semester, I didn't do much sports, I worked out only 2-3 times a week, and I still did really bad at school, and I just could not just balance it, at all. And then... it's got better, and that's the thing that I've learned through this is how to adjust. Like, it took me a long time, but through being patient, I wanted to go home. I remember calling my parents saying that I can't do it, I'm gonna go home. But through being patient, working hard, grinding that homework every day, sitting there with the English dictionary trying to translate the text for history, it's like, it took a long time, but through the patience and just grinding it every single day, I was able to adjust. And that's what it takes sometimes. It just takes time to adjust and patience to get through challenges and rough times like that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. What did it just kind of get better on its own, or did you do things to make it get better?
I did watch a lot of YouTube. Took some classes online, not just free courses.
Like
Duolingo.
what?
Just random website, just how to learn how to pronounce words in English, and you just or basic English grammar, and it's gonna be some free online courses that you can take, or 30-day free trial and whatnot. And you just go in there, and I would make copies, I would take pictures of their website, I would take pictures, and that's how I learned. I took a couple years of English back at school, and when I went to prep, I could it's like with Greek, I could sit down, open a book, and read and translate slowly, but it is no way I would be able to speak. I never had this experience of talking to a fluent English speaker. So it just took a long time of just talking, communicating with people, sitting down, translating everything. I remember actually learning Bible helped me so much. We'd had memory works to do. For every week, we had a memory work from my BHL class, from Bible class, just religion class. And every week I knew that I have to translate at least 5, 6, 7 verses, and I translate them and then I memorize them, and it helped me a lot to build a good vocabulary too.
Yeah, interesting.
So that helped a lot too. So
awesome.
So that just goes along with adjusting, you know, because in my life I had to adjust a lot, adjusting to a whole new culture to be successful at school, to be successful at sports, to be a winner in something, you know, it took a long time adjusting and being patient.
Well, and you had to pick and choose what you attack too, right? You didn't try and do it all at once. It wasn't I'm going to master all these things, I'm going to get good at weightlifting, I'm going to build a wrestling team, I'm going to learn English, I'm going to do all this all at the same time. You have to move slowly and accomplish one goal, set another goal, accomplish that, set another goal, accomplish that, or get towards accomplishing it at least. And
and
make it manageable.
And every day you just learn more and more things as you go forward, you know, first time I came to the United States, I was a sophomore high school who, out of all of the paperwork, has form that he's a student and one passport, and that's about it. And I didn't do any sports, I didn't do weightlifting, I didn't do anything. Now I'm a 20-year-old adult who works, who pays his bills, who pays taxes, I own a car, I have a lot of friends all over the United States. I have friends in Florida, California, Arizona, I have friends in Michigan who I can go and visit anytime. It's it got to the point that I feel here more confident than as if I go back home, because if I go back home to Ukraine, my parents pick me up with their car and they take care of me, but when I go here, I'm
well, you have ownership of your life here.
Here, basically, yes.
Right.
Yeah. And I started out with just being clueless sophomore high school kid
Right.
who doesn't know anything.
It's interesting. That's interesting. So what's next for Kostya?
What's next for Kostya? Going through college.
You're still playing football, so that's a big thing.
Yeah,
Right?
I play football. See, with football, I love football. I give my 100% when it comes down stepping on the field or prepping before the season, like going like off-season workouts and lifting. I give 100%. You know, I use every single opportunity God gives me. But to say that I'm as dedicated as I was when I was in high school for wrestling, no. My mind changed a little bit. Like, it's just not that much anymore. It's just like, I enjoy football, I enjoy lifting, I love hitting PRs, I love how far I can push my body. But in the end of the day, it's more right now just about winning over Greek and Hebrew and just other classes, becoming successful students. Being balanced how you are, just being healthy, well-balanced, successful human being who goes through his education, one day hopefully get married, have kids, becomes the minister of the gospel, and just lets his light shine and reflect God in the best way possible. That's
Awesome.
the main goal.
Sweet. Any last words?
Any last words? Don't be a loser.
That's right. Don't be
Don't be a loser. Do better.
Yeah,
Just kidding.
but I mean,
kidding.
in reality, it's like you can. I don't really like the terms loser and winner, but they're easy to use in this particular case.
Yeah.
But they're like we just have this victim mentality a lot of times. I think it's not just an American thing. It's just the way the Western world is at the moment. A lot of people just choose to live with a victim mentality. This idea that things are happening to me and I can't really control them. It just is what it is, and this is who I am, and blah, blah, blah.
Or like
With
it's everyone's fault and not,
Right.
not a single
No
person.
ownership. So maybe that's even where this conversation really was rooted, is ownership. But you can decide, and this isn't like you can decide whether or not you can't necessarily decide how successful you're going to be, but you can decide how you're going to go about your business on a daily basis, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
You can decide, hey, I'm going to make my relationship with Jesus a priority, right? You can say, I'm going to have the strongest faith I've ever had, and go after that and get it, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can say, I'm going to be the best friend to these 5 people that I can possibly be. And you can go do that, and you can go get it. If you don't like the fact, like, there are things about all of our lives that we don't like. You have the power to change that and to make an adjustment and to shift and to pivot or whatever it might be and change your reality to something that you like, to something that is more suitable to you, to something like to what you want it to be.
Exactly. It's like
So make sure that it pleases your Heavenly Father, and then go do it. Like that's one of my biggest frustrations, I think, in life, is watching other people. And I think I have, not that I do it perfectly, but I generally do kind of do that for the most part, and it gets me in trouble sometimes.
You can say that. Yeah, you can say that.
I don't always do that, but I often, like, I wanted to start a podcast, so I started a podcast. I decided, like, Jesus tapped me on the shoulder and said, I think it's time to go be a pastor. So I literally dropped everything, moved to Minnesota, and now we're going to become a pastor.
All the way from Wisconsin, from Milwaukee, yeah? You're talking
Yeah.
Milwaukee, exactly. So it's
Right,
like, it's
which
not
is,
a short drive.
again, a huge culture shock. You know?
Going
Just
from
a
a big
massive
city.
culture shock. Right.
From urban area to New Orleans with a 80% population over 50
Most
years
people
old.
would look at the amount of time I spend on my health and the amount of money I spend on food. They would look at that and say I'm nuts. It's not even a decision for me.
But you know what? One of the Christian speakers that I was watching just recently was talking about the difference, the man of God and the fool. And the difference between the man of God and the fool, the man of God remembers that what the choice that he makes right now is going to affect him in the future. So we're not really in control of the speaking of doctrine of election and all of this, and you know, we're not really in control of the final picture. Where are we going to end up with a Heavenly Father or not? But we're in control of our life in terms like the choice that you make right now is going to affect you in the future. If you've never started a podcast, you've never read the books that you've read, you would have been a different person right now. Maybe never been here to decide to be a pastor.
Right? No, I wouldn't. I'm sure I wouldn't.
And that, was it a will of God? It was. But was it the choice that you made and affected your life? It also was your choice that affected you in your life. It's like, if I decided to quit and go home and not decided to push through and be patient and learn English and spend extra time doing homework on the weekends, would I be here right now? No, I wouldn't. So like if you choose to go work out, it's going to affect your life differently than if you would have gone and choose to go drink and party and do drugs, you know. Right. It would have affected you even as a person, you know. Yeah. So like, it's just like, that's the difference between the fool and the man of God. The man of God, even though people might say you're nuts for spending so much money on food, you know that it's going to affect your future.
Yeah.
And
it's going to improve my ability to do the work of God in the kingdom.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. And that's all what it is.
Yeah. So maybe the word for today is be a finisher.
Be a finisher. Exactly.
Be a finisher.
Finish it and finish it right.
Choose wisely of what you're going to start, and then be a finisher.
Be a finisher.
Well said. Appreciate you, man.
That was amazing podcast. I really enjoyed it.
Awesome. Always glad to have you. Where can we find you?
You can find me on Instagram, Kostia, and then _ Skor, SKOR. So KOSTIA _ SKOR.
Gustav is Gustaviano Wenzo. He bailed on us, but he's still kind of a cool cat. So you can go follow him. That'll be in a link below as well. You want to you shouted out your girlfriend's art and you shouted out your sister. You want to add theirs too? Do you know what they are?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna go grab my phone.
Okay. While he's talking, or while he's looking, you can find the Gird Up podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play. Wherever that you listen to your podcast, Podbean, you can find it there. You can also watch on YouTube. This one is actually recorded as a video. You might be listening to the audio, but it was recorded as a video. You can find that on YouTube. The Grow On page there, we put up all kinds of stuff there. And you can find us on Facebook, just at Gird Up Ministries. There's a community there you can join as well. And then you can follow us on Instagram at GirdUp _B_A _man. Go ahead.
Okay, so my girlfriend's art account is Artist Abby 1. So Artist Abby ABBY 1. And my sister's Instagram account is Yeva, so EVA _SKORENKA. Yeva _Skorenka.
Awesome. Very cool.
So,
go support the people that love Jesus, man. Keep digging it. And go be the man that God created you to be.
Absolutely. Be a finisher.
Go team.
Let's go. I love it. That's awesome.
Isn't that fun?